Hello everyone. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the vector paint sketch Photoshop action to create a very sophisticated effect that you can see here. This effect would take you many hours to produce. There are many layers involved, and it all starts with a simple photo and a brush layer. The action will use these two layers to produce multiple layers containing your effect. All layers are very well structured. You can see this is the main group folder containing other folders with all the layers. So there are many layers which you can modify. The effect also comes with 12 patterns. Actually, there are 13, starting with pattern 0, that you can use with this item or with any other work that you do in Photoshop. Because there are so many layers, you can do a lot of customizing to your final design. I'm going to show every part of it. So basically you can change the color and position of any element shown here, or you can hide it if you want. And create the effect that you like the most. So in order to use the action, you will have to load the assets that the action uses. These are the brush file and the pattern file. The pattern file and the brush file can be loaded by going to the edit menu, preset manager, and in the preset type brushes, load the brushes file. Okay. And in the patterns area, load the patterns file, the vector paint sketch patterns. Okay. And you are done with this part. Of course, you will also have to load the action itself. You can do this from the actions panel. Make sure you have it open from window actions being toggled on. And in the actions panel, click here and load actions, the vector paint sketch PS action. Okay. The action will have many steps and you will have to wait a bit for it to continue. But before running the action, start by opening JPG file in Photoshop. It will have a locked background, this layer. So it has the background layer. It is named background. Okay, actually I enlarged this image. I modified the canvas size so it can be a bit bigger to house the entire effect and look a bit better. It was the image was cropped somewhere here. You can do this if you want, doesn't really matter. Okay, and you will also need the brush layer. So you will have to, I'm going to delete this, you will have to create a new layer and call it brush using capital B letter. And with this brush layer selected, you will have to paint over the subject of your image in order to cover it fully. There are many ways in which you can do this. You can of course use the brush tool with a round brush with hardness, the size you want and the color you want, to start by brushing and making sure you cover your entire subject for the best look. So this is one approach. Oops, I did a little more, so you will probably do this too, and you will have to cut the area of overpaint. Or if you are familiar with some other selection techniques, uh, you can of course try to select the background or the subject from the photo. In this case it is easier because we have a white background and we can just select it using the magic wand tool. And on the background layer we can basically select the background and then invert the selection and have the subject selected, and on this brush layer we can just paint and cover this selection, or we can use this little tool, the paint bucket tool, to cover and fill our entire selection. Now I can deselect. So there are multiple ways of doing this. Also make sure that using the brush tool you will have the opacity set to 100% and the flow to 100%. The brush mode to be on normal. You will have to leave this unmodified for the action to run correctly. And also make sure your image is of an appropriate size. So your image should be something around 2800 pixels, less than 3000 pixels, somewhere there, depending on the size of your subject and how much does it fill the entire canvas. Okay, and also 72 dpi. Okay, and when you click play using only these two layers, the action will run and will create all the files that you can see here. It will take some time to complete. And finally, you will be left with the structure similar to the one you can see here. Okay. And when you are done, you can start customizing your project, and you can start playing with all the elements visible here. So we have a group called elements above subject, which has 3 elements where you can change the color directly. So these are the elements. So you can put your own colors here. There are 2 elements where there are multiple colors, and you can use the hue saturation control to adjust the hue saturation of these elements. Okay, so this is one group of layers. There is also this group of layers containing the subject. It says subject drag mask. So you can see there is a mask here, a layer mask. Initially it will be looking something like this, white. But selecting it and using the move tool, you can start and drag. You won't see what you're dragging, but you will be dragging, and you can move the layer mask which is hiding the subject. So we can remove the part where the subject is cut from here, and we can add a nice effect to it using something like this. You can also do this for the top of your subject by dragging down, and you can do something like this by dragging the mask. You can see the white area is what is being revealed of the folder, and the black area means it's hidden. So those black parts are hidden in your document. So the layers contained in the folder won't have that part visible. Okay, and inside it there are I'm going to leave it like this. Inside this subject folder, there are more layers. It's a sharpness layer, the first one, which you can adjust. It's a smart filter for a different look. And you will see the smart filters being used. Now, as I wrote in the item description, you will need the oil paint filter available in Photoshop to use this action. This is an important requirement. Photoshop CS6 and above should have the oil paint filter. It is this one here. Okay, so we have the subject sharpness layer. We have another folder, says brush mask to reveal original image. It's a black mask, so it's hiding the content. You can use a brush, a white brush, to brush over this black mask to reveal some part of the original image that you would like to be visible. Maybe the eyes or something different. So you can have a blend of the original image showing, of course, photographic details and the vector paint sketch. Okay, so from this to this, that's a difference. Okay, there is also the subject contours, which do this part. There are two contours organized in its own group. Actually, only the contour 1 is shown. It's also the contour 2 available, which will have an effect similar to this. And you can open the group and see its filters and its adjustment layer for the hue saturation, so you can add your own custom color here. There will be many adjustment layers because the action is intended to provide you with lots of customization details and possibilities. Okay, there are also layer masks that will hide certain parts of your subject. For example, all these missing parts of the subject are done with layer masks, and of course you can disable it and reveal the subject entirely. So if I disable mask, more of the contour will be visible. Remember, you can also do adjustments to the smart filters here. You can see this icon, and we have smart filters apply that you can double click and of course edit to have different result. This will be very strong. I believe I won't like it. Let's see it. So this is how it looks. Of course you can add a custom color to this one also. Okay, and besides the contour, let's go even more. This layer is called the quick double light effect. To do something like this, it's a double light effect that you can, of course, adjust to your subject. Then there is the main effect for the subject. This is the main effect, smart layer. It has a mask, as I told you, which hides these parts, make them invisible. If you disable the mask, the subject will be shown fully. Of course, you can adjust the settings here. We also have some geometric parts which are initially black, like this, spread around the subject. Then we have the secondary effect for the subject, which is a black and white effect with less detail. It also has a mask that you can disable it and have the subject like this, parts of it in color, in detail, more detail, and some of them black and white and less detail. Okay. Then we have what's called the background separated layers. These are the two layers that you can see here. They have a color adjustment and the layer mask. They basically control how the pattern below is revealed, because without them the pattern would occupy the entire image. Okay, so basically you can use these layers, just select them and drag to hide or reveal certain parts of the background. Okay, besides that, you can also transform the mask. So select the mask and go to Edit, Transform, Scale, and you can make it bigger or smaller, and you can also rotate it to have an angle here that you can use for your custom designs. And of course, maybe you want to have a certain color for the effects, the top area and the bottom area. Okay. Actually, somehow for this photo, I believe the green contours here are a bit pronounced, and I'm going to disable it right now. Okay. You then have a background splash folder containing multiple layers that you can put colors into. These are some paint splashes that you can use. This is how they look. You can use them with your subject for a more diverse look. Okay, then there is a background stylized image, which basically shows contours of the entire image, not only the subject, because you might use an image where there are more details visible than the subject, the photo of the subject in a place on the street or somewhere where other people are visible, and you can keep details from those as well. If I disable, if I enable the portions being cut here on the subject, so on the subject main effect, is it the main effect? No, the secondary effect, sorry. If I enable the mask here to hide parts of the subject, you can see that the background stylized image, if we take out the contours, will have uh, some details that will be visible with your other parts of the image. Okay, and of course I told you about the 13 patterns that you can use, and you can put your own color into them. I'm gonna show you how they look. So this is how they look. So these are the patterns. You can play with their color, or you can also go to the blending options of this color adjustment layer and adjust the pattern, maybe to a bigger or smaller scale. Some of the effects actually come in, the patterns actually come in bigger sizes, and they are set to 50% size. Okay, and also you have a background color and a background gradient. So basically this is it. Remember, you can drag the masks where it says drag mask, because there's not only the subject mask here, this mask controlling what's being hidden and revealed for the entire subject, but there are also masks that you can disable and enable here. And everywhere it says drag mask, you can drag that mask and hide or reveal certain parts of the subject. This is it. Thank you very much for watching my tutorial.